الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Another point that I wanted to mention is النهي عن التسمع على الآخرين. The prohibition of eavesdropping other people's conversations. Find two people sitting there, the guy just walks past him and then he comes back. He acts like he's just roaming around the masjid. But his goal is what? To hear out the conversation of these two people who are trying to hide away from everybody else. Recently, I was made aware of an old man who wanted to know what's happening in his house. So his kids, while they are together, there's a new device that's out that people buy from, I don't even want to say the country, Pakistan. So this device, what do? It's connected to a mobile phone. It's connected to a mobile phone. وهذا نوع من التجسس also, spying. The mobile phone is connected to the device. He leaves the device in the room, he covers it. And what this device does, it attracts sound. Every time someone's voice comes around this device, that guy on his phone, he gets a call. So he can hear the whole conversation, everything that's being spoken about. That's eardropping. Or even worse than that. عن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من تحلم بحلم لم يراه كلف أن يعقد بين شعيرتين ولن يفعل ومن استمع إلى حديث قوم وهم له كارهون أو يفرون منه صب في أذنه الآنك يوم القيامة. Look what the Prophet ﷺ said. Whoever now tries to eardrop or listen to other people's conversations and they don't like it, you can clearly see they don't like it. It's a private conversation, but it's eardropping. Or they start running away from him. They go away from him because of this person bothering them with trying to listen to what they are speaking about. آنك يوم القيامة is going to be poured inside the ears. Anuk is like melted iron from the hellfire. Because of eardropping and hearing the other people's conversation, that fire is going to be brought and is going to be what? Poured inside a person's ear. The eardrop, have you ever had eardrops before? I used to have eardrops because there was something stuck in my ear. Eardrops goes in, sometimes your ear gets stuck. Why? Because of there being fluids and liquids inside your ear. And you can't hear properly. This is with something that the creation put together. You can barely hear and it hurts sometimes as well. Now imagine the nar being poured inside your ears. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. النهي عن التناجي اثنين. The impermissibility of interacting or interactions taking place between two people إذا كانوا ثلاثة. If amongst them is three people. Let's just say we have three brothers. Two of them are Somali, the other one's Pakistani. Two Somali brothers, they start interacting, they start having a conversation. And the third person just sitting there, what are they speaking about? Are they even speaking about me? Waswas. Doubts start entering into his mind. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as came in Bukhari and Muslim, he said, إِذَا كُنْتُمْ ثَلَاثَةً فَلَا يَتَنَاجَى الرَّجُلَانِ دُونَ الْآخَرِ. Two people shouldn't kind of, keep him out of the conversation. حتى تختلطوا بالناس من أجل أن يحزنه. Until other people come and sit in that gathering. There's other people sitting together, then there's no harm. Let's just say there's 5-6 people, but two of them, they want to discuss something. لا بأس بذلك. It could either be done with a different language or you're whispering to this person. I remember Sheikh Sa'ad al-Shitri. Sheikh Sa'ad al-Shitri. You don't know Sheikh Sa'ad al-Shitri? Sheikh Sa'ad al-Shitri is Hayat Kibar al-Ulama. A couple of years ago, I walked in and I was proper shy because the Sheikh's got a lot of hayba. And I thought maybe the issue that I'm going to be speaking to him about was going to kind of make him feel a bit awkward. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. So I walked into the office, there was another two people there. And everybody was literally flocking around the Sheikh and wanting to listen from him, because he's like the star of the show, right? So one of the biggest scholars there, everybody wants to get, a piece of a cake from the Sheikh. So the Sheikh sitting there, I walked in, everybody went quiet. And I was a bit shocked as well to see the Sheikh. And I really wanted to ask him to come to Leicester, so I started whispering. I was like, Sheikh, can you come to Leicester, this, that? And everybody's like sitting there, what are you speaking about? This is another situation now. If we have a group of people, they all have their attention to somebody. And then somebody tries to come and maybe have a private conversation with that person. This also goes under a tanaji. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? Sometimes you find we're sitting in a restaurant, 6 people are there, everybody's talking to everybody. There's no harm in this situation. These 6 people, 2 of them, they have a conversation, everybody's just talking. But if all the eyes, all the limelight, all the attention on somebody, you come and then start having a private conversation when everybody's just sitting there, هذا أيضا مما لا ينبغي. Because it causes the other people to be left out. وهذه علة الحديث. This is the illah. The reason as to why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that 2 people shouldn't interact and leave the 3rd person out. إذا رجع إلى مجلس أحق به. If a person, let's just say for example, he's sitting in the front of the masjid. He's sitting in the front of the masjid because he wants to get that reward of the front line. He goes out for wudu and he comes back. We're still speaking about sittings, right? Adabul majlis. This is a sitting there. He goes, he comes back, he finds that his space has been taken. What do we do in this case? Is it permissible for him to tell him to move from his space? What did we mention earlier? Can I get somebody to move from a space? Why? Prophet ﷺ prohibited, right? Earlier we mentioned that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam naha an yuqama rajulun min majlisih, that a person is stood up from his majlis and told to sit somewhere else. But now what if I was sitting there, I went for wudu, or I went to quickly do something, to come back to the position I was sitting? Is it permissible for me to tell him to get up? Na'am. Because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as it came in the hadith, he said, إِذَا قَامَ أَحَدُكُمْ مِن مَجْلِسِهِ ثُمَّ رَجَعَ إِلَيْهِ فَهُوَ أَحَقُّ بِهِ. أخرجه Muslim. Whoever sitting in a space now, reserved, he's sitting there, waiting for the salawat. Or he's sitting in a gathering of knowledge. Let's just say, the Shaykh is here, he's giving a lecture, everybody's crowded around. He quickly leaves for whatever reason and he comes back. He has every right to go back to that space. كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. I remember, subhanAllah, you'd ask yourself, where did this hadith stem on from? Why would they want to keep their space in the masjid when there's such a, large surface area for a person to go and sit in or sit on? Another hadith explains this. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه: لو يعلم الناس ما في النداء والصف الأول ثم لم يجدوا إلا يستهم عليه لاستهموا. If only the people knew the reward they get out of the front row and also doing the adhan, 2 things today that you find most people are not interested in, then they don't have any other choice except to do something called istiham or qur'ah. What do they call this in English? Let's just say we all want something, but there's only one of that thing. Let's just say everybody wants this drink. Huh? Not the lottery. There's another word for it. Is it called drawing lots? Huh? Raffle. It's called raffle, right? Raffle, akhi, leave a lottery. You mean lottery, kullah. So you have everybody wants one thing. You get all their names to kind of be fair and just. You get spun, the names get taken out. So if the people, because in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, everybody was mustabikh bil khayrat, everybody was hastening to do good deeds. They sometimes used to compete in such a way. And they had no other choice except to do the raffle thingy, they would have done it. وَلَوْ يَعْلَمُونَ مَا فِي التَّهْجِيرِ لَاسْتَبَقُوا إِلَيْهِ. Tahjir means a tabkir. If only they knew the reward that one gets out of, coming early to the masjid, he would have hastened to it. إلى آخر الحديث. The point is, brothers and sisters, the reason where this hadith stemmed off from is they used to compete with one another to have that place in the masjid. I remember when I was in Yemen, in Damaj, wallah, I remember fights nearly broke out. Fights nearly broke out. Especially in Ramadan, everybody's waiting for the Taraweeh. Everybody wants to pray in the front row. A guy puts his stuff there. Somebody else comes, he takes and he dashes it. In the hadith, right? Who ahaq. He comes, and sometimes, subhanAllah, you should see that there was so much malice. And there was so much competition in regards to this. One guy even one time stood up and grabbed the other individual. Physically tried to move him. Why? Just to kind of go back to his space inside the front row. Even though I'm not saying that's correct, but this is the level that some people reached in trying to obtain the khair. Of course, I'm not telling you to go and grab somebody up if he does that, but rather idfa' billati ahsan. But the point is, they hastened. You find this very more common in Islamic countries, where they really go after, more the adhan and so on and so forth. What time is Maghrib exactly? 9:30? 9:30 was Ramadan, right? Huh? 20, right? 20. Okay, good. Another issue I want to mention, and Allah, I think this is very vital that I mention, is when it comes to seeking knowledge, you find that there's certain issues that prevent a person from maybe attending a sitting. And wallahi, brothers and sisters, if we really take heed of this, and if you don't take anything from these lessons that we've been conducting today, except this point, then it's a lot of khair. Because most people, they don't have this, which is a tawadu' lil ilm. Humbling yourself when it comes to knowledge. A lot of people, brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, they don't have a tawadu'. Either sometimes he doesn't come to the lesson, hasadan, either because of the envy that he has, or maybe because kibr, arrogance. Who is this person to come and tell me? Who is he to teach me? I've been studying, I studied 1 year, I studied 2 years. كأنه لا يحتاج للفائدة. As if he is not in need of what? To benefit even more. Or he feels to himself, Akhi, I'm older than him. When he himself knows that he is in need of what that person has. He hasn't studied, but because of age difference, he has stopped enough from taking knowledge. The hadith Musir Salat, Ustad Abdul Rahman, he mentioned this yesterday. When he came to the Prophet ﷺ and the Prophet told him, not once, not twice, not 3 times, irji' fasalli fa innaka lam tusalli. Go back, pray, for indeed you haven't prayed. The hadith of the person who prayed a very bad prayer. In the end, what did he say? وَالَّذِي بَعَثَكَ بِالْحَقِّ نَبِيًّا إِنِّي لَا أُحْسِنُ الصَّلَاةِ فَعَلِّمْنِي. He said, by the one who sent you as a messenger in truth. Swear by Allah. Teach me, for indeed I do not know. For someone to admit his ignorance, wallahi, brothers and sisters, is not something that we should look down upon. Rather, this is sidq. رحم الله من علم قدر نفسه ووقف عند حده. May Allah have mercy, as Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned, upon the individual who knows his level. And then he stays within his limits. He knows that he needs, and he says to this person, Akhi, please teach me. Or he says to this person, Akhi, I don't understand this in the kitab. Can you please maybe clarify this to me? Because brothers and sisters, 2 people لا يتعلمون. Mujahid, rahimahullah, the student Ibn Abbas. Sufyan al-Thawri said about Mujahid, إذا جاءك التفسير من مجاهد فحسبك. If a tafsir comes from Mujahid, sufficient. You don't need anything else. He said, 2 types of people, they don't learn. لا يتعلم العلم مستحي ولا مستكبر. The shy one, shy to ask. He needs the issue, he doesn't ask. And the one who's arrogant. The one who has arrogance and pride in his heart. These pathetic reasons stop him now from getting maybe benefit. To admit your ignorance like this individual. What is the benefit that he got out of it? The Prophet ﷺ directly taught him how to pray. Now I'm going to mention to you a bunch of things, brothers and sisters. But before that, the Prophet ﷺ, he told us, "Man ta'azama fi nafsih." Whoever now, comes across or he shows as if he is great in himself. Prophet ﷺ said, وَاخْتَالَ فِي مَشْيَتِهِ. And then he walks in a very prideful, arrogant way. لَقِيَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ غَضْبًا. He will meet Allah Azza wa Yawm al-Qiyamah while Allah is angry with him. So this person is already on the way to Jahannam. And you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these kind of people who are haughty, arrogant, walking on the face of this earth, He's just going to leave them like that? Rather, you find a lot of these people, brothers and sisters, الَّذِينَ يَمْتَنِعُونَ عَنِ الْفَائِدَةِ. They don't remain in the masjid. The arrogance that remains in their heart, it just leads them to not benefiting, and then shubahat and shahawat get the better of them. Because if you're not in majalis al-dhikr where the malaika are, then you are most likely to fall into the hands of the shaitan. أليس كذلك? Because the malaika, they don't come where ma'asiyah is taking place. Sooner or later you're bound to be trapped. This is why the masjid, التعلق بالمسجد, where the malaika are, where the khair is taking place, where the huda, where the hidayah is found. Look at the tawadhu' now of Abu Hurairah radiallahu. Earlier we mentioned that Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu was the creme of the creme, right? Of all the companions. He knew the most of hadith. Look at his behavior. أن عبد الرحمن بن الحارث أخبر أبو هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه. Abdul Rahman ibn al-Harith came to Abu Hurairah بقول عائشة. He told Abu Hurairah about the view of Aisha. For a very long time, brothers and sisters, Abu Hurairah used to give the fatwa that if a person, he enters into Fajr while he is in the state of Janaba, the time of Fajr has come and he's in the state of Janaba, then that person can't fast that day. He had this view for a very long time. Then Abdul Rahman bin al-Harith, he told him about the view of Aisha and Salama. Who knows more about the private life that the Prophet has at night? Abu Hurairah or Salama and Aisha? His wives, right? They're the ones who sleep with the Prophet ﷺ. They know when he's in the state of Janaba and when he's not. They mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever now reaches the Fajr prayer or the time of Fajr, he's in a state of Janaba, then he washes himself and then he fasts. Simple as that. Abu Hurairah wasn't aware of that. So Abdul Rahman ibn Harith came to him and he told him this hadith. Did Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu turn around and say, Akhi, listen, I know 1,000 hadith. I know, I've been studying day in, day out. Who are you to come and tell me? Tawadha lil haqq. He humbled himself and he accepted it. And he wasn't haughty or arrogant in rejecting the haqq, because kibr, as it was translated by the Prophet, batrul haqq wa ghamtun nas, to belittle the people and to reject the truth. Rather, the talib ilm, the true talib ilm, wherever he finds fa'idah, ضالة المؤمن يلتقط حيث وجدها. If you find lost property, you're going to pick it up, right? A wallet with, quite a lot of money in there. You're going to leave it in the middle of the road. You're going to pick it up. That's how knowledge is. Wherever you find it, you take it. Sometimes a book is being taught and you've already studied it before. You've already studied that book before. You might hear fawaid that you never ever heard before. You might benefit from things that you never ever thought of benefiting from, even though you already studied that book. Find sometimes you go to a masjid, the imam of the masjid, he walks out, he goes and sits somewhere and then just comes back straight after the lesson. Like, I think to myself, like, الرجل يعني هل استوعب العلم? Like, has he encompassed all of knowledge? And maybe if he's already learnt it, is it still fresh in his mind? Maybe he might be reminded. This is why Shaykh Saleh al-Osaimi, all the time in his door, he said, ليستفتح بها المبتدئون تلقيهم ويجد فيه المتوسطون ما يذكرهم ويجد المنتهون إلى تحقيق مسائل العلم. He says that the individual has already studied, he studies these books again so that it can become solidified even more as a refreshment in his mind. And subhanAllah, brothers and sisters, I witnessed some stuff in Medina that really, really touched my heart. Wallahi, there was times I got really emotional about it. Because this is true humility. وَمَا تَوَاضَ أَحَدٌ لِلَّهِ إِلَّا رَفَعَهُ. Never does a person humble himself except that Allah Azza wa Jal raises him. What happens when you don't humble yourself? The mantuq is that what we mentioned. The mantuq says, that which we take directly from the hadith, whoever humbles himself, Allah will raise him. And whoever doesn't humble himself, what happens? What's the opposite? Allah puts him down. وهذا مفهوم الحديث. I saw in Medina, brothers and sisters, in the sittings of scholars. You know who was sitting in some of these scholars? Scholars as well. We might think to myself, okay, this guy has been studying for the last 40 years. He doesn't need some of these books that he probably knows it the way he knows the back of his hand. Sheikh Rushaydan, some of you might not know Sheikh Rushaydan, he's the one that reads on Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad. He's been reading on the Muhaddith of Al-Madinah for the last 8-9 years, a hadith, Bukhari, Muslim, he studied all of that. But when Sheikh Saleh al-Osaimi comes and he teaches Usul al-Thalatha, Qawaid al-Arba'a, all these other small books that we're currently studying now, he still sits there. Min bab al-muraja'a. Never said to himself, man like me, study this, I don't need it. Khalas, let the youngers, let these youngsters who just started seeking, let them sit there. Rather, he will sit down and he will try to benefit. He will try to benefit, brothers and sisters. By the way, Sheikh Rushaydan is the guy that made me cry. Wallahi, made me cry in the Prophet's masjid. He humiliated me. And why was he trying to do that? He was trying to do that in order to really see if I'm eager to do it. He has the most deadliest halaqat. He has the deadliest halaqat in the haram. 7 days a week, you miss one day, you're being punished for 2 weeks. You're being punished for 2 weeks. You have to stay in the masjid. If you miss out on these memorizing circles, for 2 weeks you have to sit till the askari comes. Till the police comes and wants to lock the masjid, you have to stay in the masjid. 7 days a week, every single day. And you have to read 100 hadith, like water. You make 2 mistakes, you're being sent back. You're not allowed to say, You start doubting, 2 shak, khalas, salam alaikum. They're harsh to try and make your memorization something else. He makes people read the hadith backwards. Backwards? Let's just say a person is memorizing 150 hadith. You start reading the hadith backwards. 150, 149, 148, 147. One time he made me read 70 hadith. The 71st hadith backwards. I made a mistake. Assalamu alaikum. Wallahi, embarrassed me in front of everybody. Why is he doing that? He's doing that to kind of see how serious you are with knowledge. If you're going to come back. Ashahidu min al-kalam. I saw in his majlis, Sheikh Saleh al-Osaimi dakatira. People who are mashayikh, scholars, who have been teaching for the last 20, 30 years. Also, I remember, the mufti of Mamlakatul Arabiyyah al-Saudiya. He was sitting in the gatherings of a sheikh called Saleh al-Osaimi, the same sheikh, Abdul Salam al-Shuway'ir. He's listening to the lecture, even though it's just a lecture. He's still sitting there, humbling himself. The mufti is sitting there, listening to the lecture. Also, there's another sheikh, subhanAllah, that's got a chair in the Prophet's masjid. His name is Amir Bahjat. Most people who know the sheikh will say that he's very, very strong when it comes to Hanbali fiqh. Very firmly grounded. Recently, when another sheikh from Mecca came, he's very young as well. This other sheikh who came, very young. His name is Sheikh Abdul Salam al-Shuway'ir, also very strong in Hanbali madhab. This Sheikh Amir al-Bahjat, who has hundreds of students coming to his lesson, every week, humbles himself, he goes and sits right in the front, taking notes from the Sheikh. These are the people who are very truthful in knowledge. I remember, know Sheikh Tahir White? Sheikh Tahir White, the first American Westerner to get a seat in the Haram. Something very beautiful one time that he mentioned was, he said that he was in Medina for 21 years. Soon he's going to go back to America or one of these countries, Allahu A'lam. He said he's learned so much, and one of the main things that he learned was that there's still so much to learn. There is still so much to learn. And then you're always in need of muraja'ah. Always in need of what? Benefiting, taking that knowledge, revising that knowledge. Sometimes a person comes, we should appreciate. He's going through something that you went through before, take as muraja'ah. Wallahi, when I was reading one time, when I was in Yemen, I was trying to memorize the hadith in Bukhari. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, I realized I was more ignorant than before I memorized the hadith. Why? Because every hadith you memorize, brothers and sisters, now there's different masail that arise. There's questions that pop up. Okay, how do I combine this and this other hadith that I knew before? Now I've got more issues to kind of think about. And you start reading more books, more issues start arising, and now you need to try and fix it like a puzzle. التاسع
والتاسع أعط الطريق حقه فغض بصرك وكف الأذى ورد السلام وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر. And the ninth point that the Shaykh states, Hafidhahullah, is to give the street its right, and to lower your gaze, and to restrain harm from the people, and to return the salam, and to abstain good, to
enjoin the good and
to
forbid the evil.
the good and forbid the evil. No.
جيد. First thing, أعطي الطريق حقه. Give the road its right. You're walking on the road, you see other, give the road its right. What is the right of the road? The Shaykh here is referring to another hadith. Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْجُلُوسَ فِي الطُّرُقَاتِ. Prophet ﷺ saw a group of people who were sitting inside on the road. They were sitting on the side of the road. So he said to them, beware of sitting on the roads. قالوا يا رسول الله ما لنا من مجالسنا بد. They said, Ya Rasulullah, it's a must for us to be sitting on the roads and so on and so forth. بد نتحدث فيها, because this is where we, engage in conversations and we chat here. Prophet ﷺ said, فَأَمَّا إِذَا أَبَيْتُمْ إِلَّا الْمَجْلِسِ. If you now just refuse, except to sit, then the least you could do is فَأَعْطُوا الطَّرِيقَ حَقَّهِ. Give the streets, the roads its right. قالوا يا رسول الله, they asked, Ya Rasulullah, what is the right of the road? غض البصر. Lower your gaze. Not every woman that walks past, you look at her up and down, up and down, up and down. And then another one walks past and then you stare the life out of her. And you're, giving your ratings of every, lady that walks past. Some khubth that is taking place that a brother who is very engaged in social media recently made me aware of. What some Somali brothers are doing now is, they're getting sisters' Instagram pictures. Some of you kids know probably what I'm talking about. And 3 of them are sitting and someone's recording. And they put the picture of the sister on the screen. And then everybody says, how much mahr would you pay for her? What would you rate her out of 100 or out of 10? Some of them said, I'll pay 5 cents for her. And everybody starts laughing. Humiliating sisters who came out on social media. Of course, they're partly to blame. Who told you to come out? Taking pictures near the light to make yourself light-skinned. Yeah, هذا هو. She's dark-skinned, she puts herself near the lamp to make herself light-skinned, to look better and to maybe go out and obtain likes. And then this guy's finishing her off. And hundreds and thousands of people are watching these videos of these guys laughing. So they comment, I'd pay 20,000 for her. The other guy comes, I'll pay mahar 30,000. Commenting on his sisters. Rather, brothers and sisters, you have to understand, غض البصر أصل أصيل في حفظ القلب. It is one of the main principles of what? Looking after your heart. Because we know, brothers, إذا فسد الجسد كله وإذا صلح الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. If this now becomes corrupt, everything else becomes corrupt. I ask you by Allah, the blind guy, the guy who's not able to see, can this individual fall into zina? Abdullah, have you ever heard of a blind man falling into zina? Blind guy, can he fall? What's the likelihood he's going to fall into zina? Very unlikely, right? But what happens is, through the nazar, it starts a chain of thoughts that could lead a person in committing zina. وهذا شيء معروف. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned lower your gaze and then safeguard your private part. Because once you cut out the sight, it's very highly unlikely that you're going to go and fall into zina. This is why the Prophet Ibn al-Qayyim, he said, أصل أصيل في حفظ القلب. Are you with me, brothers? Allah said, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Tell the believing man to lower his gaze. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ. Tell the believing woman to lower his gaze. Because once you look, that's when something hits your heart. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? وَكَفُّ الْأَذَى. Also to refrain harm. You find harm taking place in the road, you try to stop it. You don't know of that guy, right? Who went viral recently. So two guys fighting and he stopped it. هذا Islam. And then LeBron James retweeted it. That's what everybody was saying. He reached the page of LeBron James. What was the name again? Muhammad. Huh? Ali, right? Ali. His name was Ali. So two people fighting, you stop the fight. Try to give advice as much as possible. You see one of your sisters, Somali sisters, Pakistani sisters, a guy is trying to chirp her, tell them to fear Allah Azza wa Jalla in a nice way. In a nice way. وَرَدُّ السَّلَامِ. Somebody gives a salam and you also return the salam. وَالْأَمْرُ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَالنَّهْيِ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. To enjoin the good and forbid the evil. You see something wrong taking place, you enjoin it. Tell the people to do good. See something haram taking place, you tell the people to refrain from it. Another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, أُنصُرْ أَخَاكَ ظَالِمًا أَوْ مَظْلُومًا. Help, assist your brother, regardless of the fact of him being an oppressor or being oppressed. So how is that possible? If he is oppressing, how am I meant to help him? We understand, okay, the oppressed one, we go out and we help this person, right? What about the person who's oppressing? هذا أيضا ينبغي عليك أن تأخذ بيده. You should take him by the hand and try to advise him and take him to the correct path. That's the way of aiding your brother who is an oppressor. Because brothers and sisters, as time goes on, you have to understand, we are bound to see more filth. لا يأتي زمان الذي بعده شر منه. There doesn't come a time except that the time that comes up is worse. We are going to see much worse stuff. It was absolutely unimaginable to see sisters, Muslim sisters, wearing miniskirts. I remember I mentioned that in a lecture one time. Oh, we're going to see a time where sisters are going to be wearing miniskirts in a hijab as well. A brother put his hand up and goes, Ustad, I already see that in college. Sisters with hijab, they are wearing miniskirts. That wasn't available, brothers and sisters, 20, 30 years ago. But now it's becoming so common. So the shahid is, enjoining the good and forbidding the people, those who are actually going to do it is going to become more and more and more rare. More difficult, because so many people are going to be upon fawahish. Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith, اشتقت لأحبابي. I miss those that I love. So the companions, they got a bit jealous. They said, أولسنا أحبابك? Aren't we the people that you love? He said, لا أنتم أصحابي. You are my companions. أحبابي أناس يأتون في آخر الزمان. My beloved ones are people who are going to come at the end of time. القابض على دينه كالقابض على الجمر. Like they are holding on to the religion, like holding on to hot coal. What happens when you pick up the fire? A coal, and it's burning. You're going to drop it, right? The religion is going to be dropped like that. People are going to find it very difficult. طوبى للغرباء. Glad tidings to those who are strange. One second, let me mention this last point. Pertaining الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر. Something pertaining بني إسرائيل. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, لُعِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ عَلَى لِسَانِ دَاوُدَ وَعِيسَى بْنَ مَرْيَمَ ذَلِكَ بِمَا عَصَوْا وَكَانُوا يَعْتَدُونَ. Bani Israel, they were cursed upon the tongue of two prophets. Dawood alayhi salatu wasalam, and also who? Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. They were cursed upon their two tongues. Why? كَانُوا لَا يَتَنَاهَوْنَ عَنْ مُنْكَرٍ فَعَلُوهُ. If they saw evil taking place amongst them, they wouldn't stop it. And there's a story behind it. عبد الله بن مسعود عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن أول ما دخل النقص على بني إسرائيل. أنه كان الرجل يلقى الرجل فيقول يا هذا اتق الله الحمد لله اتق الله ودع ما تصنع. The first deficiency that entered upon the Bani Israel, that a man, he used to meet another individual. He would see him doing something evil. He would say to him, stay away from this. He would say to him, stay away from this. And then look what happens. فإنه لا يحل ثم يلقاه من الغد. And then after, he would meet him the next day. He would meet him the next day, and he would see him doing the exact same thing. So the guy who disapproved of this yesterday, he's now sitting down with him, he's chilling with him, he's just enjoying his time with him, but he doesn't tell him to stop what he's doing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cast them. لعن الذين كفروا من بني إسرائيل على لسان داود وعيسى بن مريم. The last point.
والعاشر البس الجميل من الثياب وأفضلها الأبيض ولا يجاوز كعبيك سفلى وابدأ بيمينك لبسا وبشمالك خلعا.
Good. You want to translate?
No. And the 10th point is that you wear the best of clothing, or the most beautiful of clothing, and the best of clothing is white. ولا يجاوز كعبيك سفلى, and to not exceed your thobes length below the ankle. وابدأ بيمينك لبسا, and to start with dressing on your right. وبشمالك خلعا, and to take it off with your left, by starting with the left.
Okay, we don't have much time, but the first was البس الجميل من الثياب, to wear the most beautiful garments that you have. The Shaykh here is referring to the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He said, لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال حبة من خردل من كبر. A person who has a mustard grain of kibr in his heart, he's not going to enter into al-Jannah. قال رجل, so a man, he said, إن الرجل يحب أن يكون ثوبه حسنا ونعله حسن. So a man, when he heard this, he went to the Prophet and he said, Ya Rasulullah, a man, he likes for his thobe, his clothes to be nice, and also for his shoes, his sandals to be nice. So the Prophet ﷺ said, إن الله جميل يحب الجمال. الكبر بطر الحق وغمت الناس. Bravo, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves that which is beautiful. He loves that which is beautiful, and that which is worn, that is beautiful. So the point is, one doesn't dress like a trump just to make himself look like, a zahid. This is something that was disliked by the Saleh. Just to make yourself look like a person who doesn't care about the dunya and overlooks it, he wears trumpy clothes. But rather, the Prophet said in another hadith, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ إِذَا أَنْعَمَ عَلَى عَبْدٍ النِّعْمَةِ أَنْ يُرَى أَثَرُ نِعْمَتِهِ عَلَيْهِ أخرج البيهقي. Allah loves that if Allah has blessed you with a blessing, that He sees that blessing on you. That He sees that blessing on you. Allah loves that. But rather, the true kibr is to reject the truth and to belittle the people. So the Shaykh then also, he mentioned وَأَفْضَلُهَا الْأَبْيَض, and the best clothing that a person could wear is أبيض. He's referring to the hadith of Ibn Abbas, إِلْبِسُوا مِنْ ثِيَابِكُمُ الْبَيَاضِ فَإِنَّا مِنْ خَيْرِ ثِيَابِكُم. Wear your white clothing, for indeed it's the best clothing that you could wear. وَكَفِّنُوا فِيهَا مَوْتَاكُمْ, and also, what do? Then wrap your deceased with the white as well. وَلَا يُجَاوِزُ كَعْبَيْكَ سُفْلًا. Another etiquette that the Shaykh, he mentioned, that one shouldn't wear his garment below his ankles. And he's referring to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ما أسفل من الكعبين من الإزار في النار. Anything that is below the ankles is in the hellfire. Someone might say, okay, but the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is only referring to the hadith if a person does that out of takabbur. Only then it's impermissible. Like the scholars, they say, if a person now, he wears his garment below his ankle without takabbur, it's haram as it is. It's also as bad as each other. Something very bad already. But if he now does it with takabbur, he does it with arrogance, it's even worse. According to this hadith, ثلاثة لا يكلمهم الله يوم القيامة ولا ينظر إليهم ولا يزكيهم ولهم عذاب أليم. I'm going to conclude with this. 3 people, Allah won't speak to them on يوم القيامة, and He won't look at them, and He won't purify them, and they have a painful punishment. And one of them that was mentioned was al-musbil, the one who wears his clothing below his ankles. So if a person wears it just like that, without takabbur, it's already as bad. He does it with takabbur, he's walking, and this is something that the people of the past used to do. They used to wear takabbur, it's even worse. خلاص? Jazakumullah khair, brothers and sisters, for listening attentively, inshallah ta'ala. Tomorrow, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we'll try and go through the whole usul al-sittah. Whole usul al-sittah. The whole Sunday, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to try and start straight after dhuhr. Straight after dhuhr, so we can benefit from the time. Straight after dhuhr and all the way till maghrib. All the way till maghrib. Shaykh Abdul Basit, he has one class, but we're going to try and finish that book, inshallah ta'ala. I really appreciate that a lot of you have been listening very attentively. I remember a couple of years ago, the kids used to run around and shout and talk, but I feel like there's been a very big change with our youngsters. Jazakumullah khair. And we will commence tomorrow بعد الظهر straight away, inshallah ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.